Boy, you know how these political arguments go, even way up here. Hey, Wonderhussy here, up at one of my favorite places just outside Vegas, the Spring Mountains, and more particularly, Mount Charleston. Today, my friend and I are gonna try to hike all the way to the top of Charleston Peak, which is a almost 12,000 foot high mountain peak, okay? It's a tough hike. The trail to get there, you can do it as a loop. We're starting out at the South Loop, which I think it's very confusing, the signage here, but this Mount Charleston NRT, I'm pretty sure that's the Charleston Peak Trail. So we're gonna follow the South Loop Trail up to the peak and then come down on the other side and walk back to our car. I've done this hike a couple times before, and in my memory, it took us all day and we didn't get back until after dark. So we got a late start, it's already almost noon. So hopefully we can make it all the way to the top and back down before dark. So enough yakking, we better get going. I think this is the right trailhead. The trail signage here sucks. Just to warn you, if you decide to do this hike, make sure you research it at home first because it's very confusing. Okay, up the trail a bit, there is a marked trail sign. It's just confusing at the parking area, but if you park at the Cathedral Rock picnic area, that's where you want to be. Mount Charleston Peak is 8.3 miles. Okay, so the first part of this South Loop trail is pretty steep. You're just kind of going up a bunch of stairs straight up the side of this mountain, which, by the way, we need to get all the way up there. Yikes! But it goes through a really beautiful aspen grove. Now I'm doing this hike on June 1st, so the aspen are all green, but if you come here in the fall, it's amazing. All right, we've come up out of the aspen and into more of a ponderosa pine, but we're starting to see some snow patches. Remember, this is June 1st, and there's still snow on the ground. So keep that in mind when you're planning this hike. Best to do it in the summer. Even the trailhead is like 8,000 feet, and it's like 20 degrees cooler than Vegas year round. So even if it's 100 degrees in Vegas, it'll be that much cooler at the trailhead, and as you climb, it'll get even cooler. We're getting close to the edge of the alpine forest and the tree line, and we're gonna come out into a meadow. Whew! Okay, we made it up all those friggin' switchbacks on the first part of the trail. Now we're up on the ridge line, and there's a sign here showing you Charleston Peak Trail. We wanna go that way. Oh my God, this alpine meadow at the top is amazing. I feel like I'm in The Sound of Music. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Oh. Wow, look at this spooky, dead, burned up forest we're hiking through up here on the ridge. Goes on and on and on. These creepy dead trees. My friend just said it's like hiking through Mordor. Okay, so now the trail kind of climbed out of that burned forest. But I think we're kind of pushing on towards the final ascent above the tree line. And up here at this elevation, it really takes the wind out of you. Here's a nice vantage point that shows the road and just how far we've hiked up. Oh, we're almost there. That final push up this lunar moonscape of scree. No more trees, no more flowers, just snow patches and rock. And the plane! There's a chunk of it here, and then there's a chunk of it up there. Here's the first chunk of wreckage. Now this was I think a C-54 cargo carrier, and it was flying to Area 51 back in 1955, I think. It was carrying a bunch of people out to Area 51 where they were working on this top secret U-2 project. This was back when they were still developing the U-2. Fortunately, the plane was only carrying like, I think a half or a third of the passengers that it would normally carry. So not as many people died as might have otherwise, but it was a terrible crash. I want to say it was in wintertime, and because of the top secret nature of the work that was being done by these guys, they closed the entire mountain off while they were doing the recovery. Look, there's part of the fuel line. Yikes. Wow. A nice overview of all the wreckage from up here. Sorry about my shadow, but it looks like this is where most of it is. I mean, what a rugged, remote, lonely place to crash. Terrible way to go. I think a few years ago they finally did some kind of dedication ceremony up here to honor the people who died in the crash. But I don't see it up here. Oh, and then if you look down the hill, which I don't really want to hike to because it's kind of sketchy, I'll just use my cheesy zoom. There's like part of the fuselage, right? Isn't that like the skin off of the fuselage? I'll try to hike a little bit closer to some of this stuff. I know a lot of you guys are very interested in crashed planes. Okay, well, this looks like it was one of the wings, right? And then, God, it's just like a tangled mess. It's hard to identify anything. But then I'm not really a big airplane buff. That looks like that was maybe maybe that was some kind of wing gear. I don't know. Oh my God, everybody watching this is probably like, what an idiot. She doesn't know anything about planes. Well, you're right, I don't. All I know is how to hike and get to these cool places. So I'll show you guys, and you can tell me. That looks like landing gear, maybe. And then I don't even know what this thing is. That also, I don't know, to me it looks like some kind of axle, so I would guess that to be landing gear, but we already saw landing gear, so not sure about it, but very interesting. Okay, and then look at this. Oh, is this like part of one of the engines? Holy wowzer. Let me go look at the back of it. Okay, here's a view from the top here. Go underneath. Oh wow, look inside. Holy crike. It's pretty cool. Look at those rusted rivets. Man, I would really be tempted to take a piece of this as a souvenir, but that would not be ethical. And you know me, my ethics are my life. No, but I really don't like to take things from sites like this because I feel like if everybody did that, there wouldn't be anything left. So I'll just enjoy this wreckage and leave it here for the next hiker. Okay, I scooted down this sketchy hillside so I get a little bit closer to this piece of the, I don't know if it's a piece of the wing, I guess. And you can see a little bit better that chunk of the fuselage that's down there. Man, I sure would like to get up close and personal with it, but that means I'm gonna have to hike all the way back up. Okay, what the hell, you guys? I'm only up here once. I went ahead and hiked down to this chunk of the fuselage. I guess that's what it is. Wow. It's a real loose scree here, so I gotta be careful, but this is a trip. And I'm sorry, apologies if the video is kind of shaky, but you try hiking on a hillside like this while shooting video with the sun at your back. Sorry about my shadow. Wow-wee. So interesting. I don't know, it almost looks like this is one of the wings, but again, don't know enough about planes to say. So interesting, oh my gosh. Wow, look at those rusted. I mean, 1955, like 63 years this thing has been sitting out here. 63 winters, 63 monsoon seasons. This thing has been beat up. Wow. No wonder it's rusty. I'd be rusty too. All right, I can't waste too much time down here because we're already kind of late in the day for hiking this, but I'll do a pan from the very bottom of this bit of wreckage all the way to the top. So you can check it out for yourself. It's gonna be looking right into the sun. And then look over here to the left. Scree, 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 scree. Snow! There's still quite a bit of snow left up here. And it's June 1st, just outside Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh my God, you guys. This is steep. But guess what? We made it! Look! The top of mighty Mount Charleston. Okay, here's a panorama. There's Vegas. That goes up the 95 into the desolation of the middle of Nevada. Not much over that way. Now we're coming around here to the west. You see the beautiful little town of Pahrump with that dry lake bed off to the left-hand side. That's the next town over, or the next county over from Vegas, where the brothels are, because prostitution is legal. And then behind Pahrump, behind those mountains in the distance, is Death Valley. Now, if it wasn't so hazy today, supposedly you can see 300 miles from up here, we might actually be able to see into Death Valley. But there's a bit of haze in the sky, unfortunately. There's a few things to explore up here, including a trail register. You know I'm gonna be going through that. Okay, now in the video I made showing my hike up Tikaboo Peak, I had a lot of comments about how, yeah, sure, that's a weather station up there. Now, granted, that's more of a conspiracy crowd that would watch that type of video, but I'm sure people are gonna say the same thing about all the stuff up here. So I'm gonna go around and explain exactly what everything is. Problem is, I don't know exactly what everything is. I mean, this is a solar panel and maybe some kind of battery or something under it in that big metal case. Not sure, but it looks like some kind of, well, there's an antenna and a PVC pipe. So not sure what that one is. I suppose that could be George Soros monitoring wholesome Americans. But then there's another solar panel here. Oh, there's two, look. Two different kinds, interesting. I don't know what it's connected to. It doesn't look like it's hooked up to anything. I don't know what it's powering. Interesting. And then there's this case that is just closed with a ratchet strap, yikes. It's probably where George Soros keeps all the bodies of the dead patriots that he kills. I mean, isn't that what George Soros spends his time doing 24/7, 365? Killing God-fearing, Bible-loving, gun-toting Americans? That's what I understand from the YouTube comments. Okay, now this is always my favorite thing to explore, the trail register. So it looks like there's two ammo boxes here, one up on that pole and one down below. I'm guessing one probably has emergency supplies and stuff in it. But look, something blew out of this one. Let me pick that up before it goes away. That's like a Buddhist thing. All created things are impermanent. Strive on mindfully. Buddha Karita. Whoa, that's heavy. That's kind of a cool thing to find up here. I gotta put it in the box so that it doesn't blow away. Okay, first let's look around this box. Nevada, a world within, a state apart. That's pretty cool. Woo-ha! It's women having optimistic objectives and healthy attitudes. Oh, that's cool. IATSE, oh, that's the local 720 stagehand union. Shout out to my friends in that 720. I think my friend Benny is in that union. My friend Ricky might be in that union. I know several people. Cornerstone Public Accountants, Aeroflex. Oh, bam, Body and Mind. They do like CBD products. Hike Beyond the Hills. Oh, Vegas Firefighters. That's cool. I can get behind the firefighters. They're cool people. Well, just a bunch of the usual stickers. For once in my life, I remembered to bring some stickers so I can put one of my own on. Okay, let's look in this ammo box up top first. One love. Okay, cool. Looks like we got some trail registers in here. And a few little supplies. We'll check that out. I'm gonna put this card back in here. Now let's look in this other ammo box before we get into the nitty gritty. This one's full of really old trail registers. Awesome. Okay, so before I start looking into the trail registers, let's just see if there's any other interesting things in here among this miscellanea. Well, it looks like a pair of readers and some pens. Will you marry me, Kathy? Aw, some guy proposed to his girlfriend. I will love you forever. Aw, that is so cute. Somebody just wrote on a rock and put it in here. North Loop Sunset. back in December of 17, not that long ago. Somebody put some little angel confetti in here. There's some chapstick, which I'm not sure I would feel comfortable using. Okay, well, I'm going to take, these are the new trail registers. This, I don't know, this ammo came with the old registers. I don't have time to look through all of it. I'm sure it's just more of the same. So I'll leave the old ammo box here. Okay, I came over here to this George Soros bunker to sit down and have a look through some of these trail registers and, of course, to sign one for myself. Okay, apparently a lot of people do this hike because there's several books here. They're all full. This one goes until the end of 2017. Look at this. Trust your path. Whoa, one love, hippies. Okay, so here's this guy. Nick Havens, August of 17. Rode my dirt bike to the peak. Sup, bitches. And then he went, hashtag Trump. Classy guy. And then there's people arguing back and forth. Somebody crosses it out, calls him Drumpf. Somebody calls him a beephead. Somebody says MAGA. Somebody says beep yeah. Boy, you know how these political arguments go, even way up here. And then this one here, this one's interesting because it's marked with the elevation of this peak, which is 11,916. But this one's even older. This one only goes through the 16. Ooh, it's windy. Oh no, oh no. Whew, it is windy up here and this thing went flying, but fortunately I was able to catch it before it went down. And it's a especially good thing because check out what it is. This list contains the names of all of the deceased from the tragic events on October 3rd. This flag flies in honor of those people who tragically passed and to the brave first responders who put themselves in danger in service of those affected. Thank you to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Clark County Fire Department, and the brave citizen who heroically assisted the injured at their own peril. I'm guessing that must refer to that plane crash. I don't remember if it was in October. And I'm also not sure what flag they're talking about because maybe that's what this was, a flagpole? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen any kind of monument or flag or anything up here. And then this is just like the lid to a Tupperware container, so it's kind of weird. Like, okay, wow. I'm not sure if this is referring to that plane crash because there's also this list of people in the trail register. It's the list of the deceased. Because remember it says here, this list contains the names of all the deceased from the tragic events on October 3rd. So I don't know what, oh gosh, it doesn't say what it was, but these people are, first of all, there's way too many names on this list. There wasn't that many people in the plane. And there's a lot of women. And they're all from Vegas, Ventura, Reno, Anchorage, Lancaster. I mean, they all seem, except for the people from Alaska, they're more or less kind of local. Riverside, Bakersfield, well, Massachusetts. Oh, wow, I wonder what it was. Oh, wow, and look at this paper that's in there. Vegas Strong, top of Mount Charleston, 10/1/2017. That's the day of the Vegas shooting. Oh, I wonder if that's what that list of names was for, the Vegas shooting. But that was on October 1st, not October 3rd. It's kind of weird. Okay, so this is the most recent register, but it only goes through 2017. Look at this guy. This is, if it's not a type A personality, I don't know what is. Check, Mount Charleston. I mean, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I'm about to hike Mount Whitney just because I can say I did it. Yeah, you know, just people's little messages. Sean Taylor, the zombie mule. Third time was the charm. Oh, this is my third time too. I've done this twice before. Okay, another hiker just showed up here, so if you hear people talking in the background, it's my friend and him. But look, the last person that I can see who signed their name was just a few days ago, and he just wrote on the back of this book. Man, I'm really bummed. If I would have known that this trail register was full, I would have brought a notebook up here. But all right, I gotta be sure to add one of my own stickers to this box. I don't want to be rude and just plaster it over somebody else's, but we're running out of space here, guys. What about inside the lid? That'd be a good spot. Now, one of my viewers was cool enough to make me these really cool new stickers. Look at that. Because I say yikes all the time, he put that on there. Then he's got a little bit of like Roadrunner type desert in the background. Where great adventure begins. I love it. Okay, one more thing before we go. Here's the U.S. Geological Survey marker for up here. Elevation above sea level. It's not even written. That's weird, but we know where we are. We know that we're almost at 12,000 feet, 11,916. All right, well, I had a small snack, I bandaged my toe, I put on my long sleeve shirt, and now we better get started hiking down because it's already 5:20 and we got a long way to go, so let's do it. There's gonna be a lot more snow on the way down, look at that. Because this side doesn't get as much sunlight, yikers. It's a lot chillier on this trail because we're coming down the other side of the mountain and there's considerable snow on this trail. It's pretty intense, but so far it hasn't blocked our trail or anything, so no need for an ice axe just yet. I think we got a little over 3 more miles to go and it's getting dark, but look how beautiful it is. Wow, what a sunset. But I want to get going so that I don't have to hike in the pitch darkness too long. If you can see, but there is the trailhead. I don't know what time it is, but we still have to walk about a mile along or half a mile along the road to get to the car. The downside of doing this as a loop is you can't, like the trailheads are separated a bit, so now we are facing one final slog along the nice, smooth, paved asphalt road to the car. Oh my god, that last mile was the hardest mile of all, even though it was on a flat asphalt road. Wow. I am beyond exhausted. Okay, 5,100 feet of elevation gain, 16 miles, but oh my golly. I am gonna sleep well tonight. Now that I'm done with the hike and back at home, it's time for a quick recap. The hike ended up being 18 miles overall, and that includes the 1.5 miles we had to walk from the end of the last trail back to where we had parked our car at the beginning of the first trail. Because it's not a true loop, you do have to walk about 1.5 miles on the paved road, which, although it's easy, is really not fun after 18 miles of hiking. The elevation gain ended up being almost 5,000 feet altogether. That explains why I am now able to crack a walnut between my butt cheeks. We didn't leave the trailhead until pretty late, 11:30 a.m., and we didn't get back to the car until after dark, 9:30 p.m. That's 10 hours altogether, and we spent probably about an hour hanging out at the top and looking at the wreckage of that plane crash. So that means we spent a total of 9 hours hiking, about 4.5 hours up, 4.5 hours back down. Like I mentioned in the video, the trail signage can be kind of confusing both on the Mount Charleston website and in person. But what we ended up doing is parking at the Cathedral Rock Trailhead, hiking up to where all the trails fork off, and there it was clearly marked that we should take the south loop up to Charleston Peak. Once we got up to the ridge line, there was another turnoff for Griffith Peak, but that was pretty well marked, and from the Charleston Peak, it was pretty obvious that there was only one way down, and that was the North Loop Trail, which we took all the way until we came to the junction with the Trail Canyon Trail. And that was pretty well marked too. Once we got to the bottom of the Trail Canyon Trail, we had to kind of look at Google Maps to figure out what city streets to walk back on, but there's not a whole lot of city streets up there, so it's pretty easy to figure out. All that being said, it would definitely help if you mapped all this out ahead of time at home, or used some kind of hiking app like All Trails, which is what my friend was using. That way you can save the route on your phone and use it even though there's no cell signal up there. And speaking of cell signal, there is 0 cell signal anywhere in the parking area, either one of the parking areas, and for almost all of the trail. We got a little bit of signal at the very top of Charleston Peak, but it wasn't enough to post a Facebook status. So make sure to leave a note on your windshield saying when you started out on the hike and when you expect to be back. That way, if something does happen to you and you're not able to call for help, at least somebody down in the parking area will know something is up. As for what to wear, I ended up doing the whole hike in a tank top and shorts. Because there's no bushwhacking involved and the whole trail is really clear and well maintained, you can do the whole thing in short pants easily. And hiking boots. Hiking boots were essential. I wouldn't want to do this hike in flip-flops. I mean, like I said, the trail is easy enough, but I wanted the extra ankle support and the arch support that boots offered, and I was glad that I wore them. I also brought a long sleeve flannel shirt and a pair of gloves, which came in handy after we left the peak and it started to get later in the evening. It got a little bit chilly up there and I was really glad that I had a long sleeve shirt and a pair of gloves. I did also bring a windbreaker and a thermal base layer, just in case it was really cold and windy at the top, but we ended up being lucky and it was pretty calm and sunny at the top, and I didn't end up needing either of those at all. But they weren't much extra weight, so it was definitely worth carrying them with me. As far as what gear to bring, I just brought a day pack, a 2-liter Camelback with 2 liters of water in it. I only ended up drinking 1 liter of water, but I've lived in the desert for 18 years and I've become somewhat of a camel myself, so I just don't drink a lot of water in general. Your usage would certainly vary, and there's not really any reliable water sources at practical waypoints on the trail, so it's best to bring as much water as you think you're going to need. I also brought a little bag of peanuts and an apple, and that was plenty of food to get me through the whole hike. I also brought a space blanket and some matches, just in case we were stuck out overnight. I didn't end up needing any of those things, but they were good to have just in case of an emergency. And then of course I also had my GoPro and my audio and video recording gear, which, depending on if you have a YouTube channel or not, you may or may not need to bring with you on your hike. I also made sure to wear plenty of sunblock, because when you're above 10,000 feet, the sun is relentless. So even though it wasn't a hot day, I still got a little bit of a sunburn. So if you do the hike, make sure you wear sunblock. And finally, before I left on the hike, I made sure to download some interesting podcasts onto my cell phone so that I could listen to them as I was hiking down once it got dark. Because it's boring once the sun goes down, you have nothing to look at, you've been hiking with your hiking buddy for 8 hours already. You kind of just want to distract yourself somehow. And so for me, it was with some true crime podcasts. Nothing like a good old-fashioned whodunit to help you pass the time when you're hiking in the dark, spooky woods. Anyway, as I mentioned in the video, that was the 3rd time I did the Charleston Peak Trail, and in my memory, my 2 previous hikes were pretty much the same as this one. All 3 times it was an all-day affair, it was a real butt kicker, and I was pretty worn out the next day. I'm glad I've done it, and I'll probably be back.